What's up, everybody? This is Christopher, otherwise known as General Spear, and welcome back to my channel with part 2 of my build of Obi-Wan Kenobi's Clone Trooper armor. We're in kind of my little mini workshop out here. It's not really that impressive, but hopefully we'll have another video on that later on in the year. But today what we're going to be doing is part 2, and this is going to be specifically the build encompassing the helmet, and this is going to be really exciting. We have here our 1-to-1 scale bucket of the animated style helmet. This is from Dave's Armor. If you want to know more information about this helmet, you can go and check out the link in the description below. It is to his Facebook page, and you can discuss inquiries, pricing, and all that he has to offer. But today is what we're going to be doing is we're going to be modifying this and getting it ready for paint. So the things that we have to do is we have to cut out the visor. That goes all the way down to the teeth down here. We have these vents on the sides here that we're going to need to hollow out. We have this seam because this was it was a two-part mold. We have this seam that runs right along the front and back axis of the helmet all the way down. And the last thing that we want to do is we also want to clear out the edging that's right around here that's left from the casting itself. All of that's going to take a little bit of time, but it's necessary to get a nice, clean, and finished look. And to do that, we're going to need a series of tools. Now, modifying this is not actually that difficult. It just takes a little bit of time, a little bit of patience, and a little bit of practice. So, the tools that we're going to need is, first off, you're going to need a drill with some drill bits that I got right here. You're not going to need a whole lot of drill bits. You're going to need a few, though. You're going to need a drill with some drill bits. I got a cordless drill from Black & Decker. It's a nice 20-volt battery, rechargeable. And this is a nice buy. I'll have a link to it in the description below of where I got mine. But if you want to check these out, go ahead. It's a nice drill. And we're definitely going to be using some of this stuff as well. Next thing you're going to need is a Dremel. I got myself a corded Dremel, also from Black & Decker. It is the RTX 3-speed tool. And I got it with a cutting blade because we're going to need to make some cuts into this, and we're going to be very careful about that as well. Also, what you're going to need is a file set. Now, this is a new file set that I just picked up to replace some of the files that I had from my other one, because some of them went on walkabout. It is from Gumpala. It is a 10-piece file set. We're going to be using not a whole lot of these. We're going to be using some of the small ones in here, and maybe the half-flat, half-rounded one here, or this one guy here. Just depends on what we want to do. But you're going to need a file set, because there are going to be places in which sandpaper, which we are going to use some sandpaper, there are going to be places in which we cut into that sandpaper is just simply not going to do it. So we're going to have that be part of the build. One of the other things you're going to need are sanding blocks. These are going to be very useful for when we apply our filler onto the helmet itself, and it helps for smoothing out the area and really doing a nice amount of work. Sandpaper will work as well, but I just like the sanding blocks, or sponges as they're also called. Then you're also going to need, it's still in its bubble wrap, but you're going to need some Bondo auto filler. You can use like a 2-part epoxy clay or something of that matter. That works just as well. I did that for my ARC Trooper Havoc helmet, which looks like so. This is my bad boy. This is the one that I hope to get into the 501st with. There's still some more work that I gotta do with my armor just for this. But this, like this helmet, had a seam that ran all the way across here. And I used a 2-part epoxy clay that cures in about 24 hours. Work time is about 30 minutes. And then you have about 2 hours where you can kind of wet it down as needed and smooth it out. But like I said, it does take about 24 hours to cure, so That's that guy. With this, we are going to use Bondo. Bondo auto filler. And the proper method by which we're going to use the Bondo, and this is something that I've heard before multiple times, is using roughly about a golf ball or ping pong ball size diameter of the actual filler itself, and then about a pea size of hardener. And that typically does a nice ratio between those two compounds, and that'll allot you about 5 minutes or so of work time, and then it dries in about 10 to 20 minutes. It is smelly, just to be aware, so I'm going to crack a window or so when I do get involved with that. And I also have a mask on. That's the other thing. Have a mask on because there are going to be particles that are flying. There are going to be some fumes going around. This is probably not the best mask, but it works for what we're going to do today. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to the Bondo today, though. This might be a 2-day build or for me, like one video for you all, because it is supposed to rain later today, potentially, maybe. So we'll see on that. We might only get to the cutouts and everything. But yeah, gonna need this. Hearing protection, just in case, that's always a good thing, especially for like the Dremel. Then eye protection as well. Goggles, definitely gonna need yourself a pair of goggles because, like I said, particles are gonna fly with cutting out, especially in this case, resin, casted material. You don't want those particles getting in your eyes. You definitely don't want to be breathing that stuff in. And then a last precaution, this is kind of not necessary, but it is nice. Neoprene gloves. These are latex free. I can show you where I got these because there are latex gloves out there which people will use, but there are also people that are allergic to latex. And so if you want some latex free gloves, I'll put a link in the description below of where you can find these. These are very nice. I've used these before. They're nitrile gloves, disposable. But these will definitely be used for when we eventually get to painting. We'll do painting, and then we'll also do when we get to the Bondo filler, which may or may not be today. It will be in this episode, but it may not be today for me. So, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started, and I am going to go ahead and look at our helmet. And I've already done this, but you may, when you first get in your cast, you may just want to wipe it down with a wet paper towel and then dry it off with a dry paper towel. The reason why is there might be some resin residue still on this, and that can, interfere with your build and whatnot. So, what I'm going to do, this is kind of the first bit, I'm not going to be able to go too far with the Dremel, but I do know that I could probably get in here with the drill bits, is I'm basically going to do a line all the way across the perimeter of drill holes, all the way down and everything. And some of these crevices, I might just go ahead and connect that up. But essentially it's going to be a line, and then I'm going to go back in with my Dremel and cut out like a bigger piece, a bigger chunk all the way in here. And then I'm going to use my file set to clean out all these areas here. On the vents that are down here on the sides, and there's some on the other side here, I'm going to drill in those vents, but just kind of clean them out with the drill and drill bits itself. And then I'll go in with my smaller files and clean those out. Those are way too small for a Dremel to get into. Maybe if I had another attachment, but I think filing those out are going to be a good way to go. So that is going to be our first thing. And I like doing that work first before any Bondo work, because in case I get any nicks or any areas where I've filed down too far or I've dremeled through something, I can go back in with the filler in that go when I'm doing all the Bondo work and clean that up as needed. I like doing it that way because I don't want to have to go back and forth and be like, okay, I've used Bondo, now I'm going to go in and make my cuts. Oops, I made a mistake. And now I have to go back in with Bondo. It's just easier to stack it up that way. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to go ahead and get our drill bit. I'm going to go with Let's see here. I'm going to go with our 3/16 drill bit. That should be pretty fine for being able to get most of our way there. I might go even smaller to like our 1/8 drill bit, especially for the edges down here. Definitely for the edges down here. That's for sure. I can go smaller, but we're going to do that. And I'm going to take a pause here, shift the camera, get all set up, and we're going to get started. that's pretty much all it is, ladies and gentlemen. After you do the paint, it's rinse and repeat to get the effect that you want. I'm going to work a little bit more on this and everything to get some Bondo and some paint all figured out as far as the smoothness and everything. There's some touch-up areas up here and whatnot, but that's about all there is to it. I'm going to continue working on this, and like I said, it's a rinse and repeat. And in the next episode, whenever that's going to be, we're actually going to be going over the next part of the build. The helmet's pretty much done at this point, so I'm going to work on the rest of the armor. And it's going to involve the arm pieces, the chest plates, the back plates, all the rest of the armor pieces basically. And we're going to first start with the arm plates because those are among some of the simpler pieces to do. So like the shoulders, the biceps, the forearms, and the hand plates. So when those videos come in, you'll be able to continue. We'll be able to continue on with the series. As of right now, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of this particular episode. It took a while for me to record, but I hope everybody enjoys, and I definitely had a lot of fun producing this for you all. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to Hulk smash that like button. Comment in the comment section below. Do not forget to subscribe. Also, feel free to support me on Patreon. There will be a link in the description below, as well as on the main homepage of this channel. Every little bit helps out, and if you want to see more videos like this, hit that like button, support me on Patreon, and we'll have a fantastic time. Thanks to everybody for watching, and may the Force be with you always.